watching closely.
What's the secret, Max?
You just gotta find something you love to do and then do it for the rest of your life.
I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me.
Hello, and welcome to The Establishing Shot, a podcast where we do deep dives into directors and their filmographies. I am your host, Eli Price, and we are on episode 75 of the podcast. And we are not covering a Spielberg movie. We are doing a movie draft this week in honor of AI, artificial intelligence, which we covered last week. And I'm sure it was very easy to guess, but I am going to be doing, along with Zachary Lee joining me again from last week, we are going to be doing a draft of AI movies. So movies that deal with artificial intelligence. So me and Zachary had I think it was a great discussion last week of Spielberg's movie AI. And I hope you, the listener, enjoyed it as well. If you haven't listened to that, you should go listen to it. But yeah, so yeah, I was like, man, what a perfect opportunity to draft AI movies. And I was surprised. I was like, we were just talking all before I hit record of like, man, I was surprised how many AI movies I had as options for this draft. I was like, wow, there's the opposite, whatever the opposite of slim pickings is, that's what there is. But yeah, was it similar for you, Zachary? Were you like, oh, I have a lot of AI movies I can choose from?
I was thinking about it when I was making my list, where I was like, what does it entail, and all those sorts of things. But I was like, there's a lot, and I feel like it's really it's like you have it's similar, I think, in a lot of ways to how we describe our AI conversation from prior, where it's like you have commercial, you have very intellectual and heady, and you have kind of them all together at the same time. So that's what was fun about it, was like we could go like the Tarkovsky and like Solo, you know what I mean, or like the super intellectual route, which is cool, but like there's also the other fun fun angles you can go for as well. So
yeah, for sure,
I like that.
Did I guess the question like that goes along with this draft, like the question we have to ask is, I pulled up AI movies and I was like, oh, there's so many to choose from that I've actually seen. And I guess the question is, why are we so interested in AI?
Oh yeah, I mean,
like, what do you have an answer to that? Why are humans so interested in artificial intelligence?
It's so funny. Because I was thinking about this after our discussion too, or like what we were thinking about, where I'm like, there's just like, it's crazy to think like, I mean, obviously conversations were before this too, but like in 2001 with AI, with Spielberg's movie, there's just like such a precision of inquiry of what Spielberg and the late Kubrick were asking. So I do feel like there's this sense of like we just like to like push limits. I think we like to see ourselves maybe in a very narcissistic way reflected in the things that we make, and so it's why things are becoming more human and everything like that, and like the effect of all that. So I could see that. I could see a reason for that being the case, and I think like humanity's desires to always extend beyond what we're physically capable of, being flesh and bone and all that sort of stuff, like I think also applies in this case too.
It's super interesting because I mean it like plays into it. It's definitely like, I think our interest in general and like the discussions around AI are like certainly like narcissistic, because all the discussions are like what makes us human, and what separates us from other things. And I mean it is good questions, like I say narcissistic, which implies like negative connotation, but I mean, like, they are questions that like are kind of inevitable.
Hmm.
But I think like our obsession as a culture with artificial intelligence kind of like exacerbates that question to a certain degree of like, what makes us human? Why am I here? Those
Yeah.
sort of existential questions that we all ask. Um,
Yeah,
AI
that's a good point.
AI
It brings
definitely
up
like
those things.
exacerbates those questions like to the
Yeah.
nth degree because you're you're already asking an existential question, but then you're like applying that existential question to like something that wouldn't exist without you making it, without us making it. And so,
Yeah, that's a good point. I
um,
wasn't thinking about that.
but yeah, but all the philosophical questions aside, we're
Ah,
we're now gonna have just a blast drafting
always.
artificial intelligence movies. And like you said, there's a variety to choose from. So um, yeah, as far as parameters, I didn't really like think of any hard and fast like rules for the movies we're allowed to draft.
Mm,
In my mind, I was thinking of movies that like deal with the questions of artificial intelligence, like
yeah.
have a main, like it's a big part of the movie. Like I guess there's probably plenty of movies that have like AI characters, but like it's kind of like a side thing. It's not really that interested in AI as a concept or whatever. And so I was thinking more in line with like movies that are interested in artificial intelligence, like as a concept
As a concept, yeah.
and as like like a major like theme being explored, or like the main one of the main characters is AI,
As
and
an
there's
AI
there's
thing, yeah.
questions like around that character and their motivations. So like even if the movie's not like, ooh, what is AI? Is AI human or not? Sometimes there's like a character where those questions like naturally come up.
Hmm.
So yeah, that could probably be included too. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of where I was thinking. Um, uh, you know, I'm not gonna put any like hard and fast rules on there as long as you can like make an argument for why your movie is a good AI movie, then I'm cool with it.
I think those are great parameters, and that's kind of what I was thinking too, where I was
Okay,
like,
cool.
where are we landing here with this?
Yeah. Well, I
I love
think
it.
you've got first pick. I think we've both had the first pick in past drafts that we've done together. So
Okay.
I think it's back to you.
It's
You've got the
back to me.
first pick.
Man, it's like cool because I'm like, where do I go?
Yeah.
Because there's so many to pick here. Well, actually, let me see here. You know what? I think one that in some ways ties with the maybe dismal ending of a certain theme and also marries the philosophical headiness with like maybe the more commercial aspects is I'm going to go with The Matrix.
Hmm.
So for
Yeah.
as a first pick. So that's the 1999 sci-fi film. Actually, it's funny. Actually, now that I'm saying the year, crazy to think this is 2 years before the artificial intelligence film.
Yeah.
But I mean I feel like you know what's there more to say about it, but I think fundamentally why this stands out to me and why I wanted to pick it for this draft was is getting to this idea about like fantasy and truth and
Mm-hmm.
the ways technology is used to like fulfill the desires that we want, but in ways that
Mm.
aren't always true. And what it means, like that mix of like fleshiness of humanity and like the cold, distant, robotic nature of the machines and the artificial intelligence that's present in this
Yeah.
world. All that stuff just seems to like pair really well in some ways with the artificial intelligence film. There's a little less gun shooting in artificial intelligence, I'll say, than in the Matrix, but
Yeah. A little less.
a little less, but still a fun time. But I want to
Yeah.
go. I'll start off with that one. Yeah, for my first pick here.
Yeah. That's a great first pick. And I think you're probably going to affect with that pick my first pick. Because there's a movie that I just like. I'm not sure if I've ever even seen the whole thing. I know I've seen a lot of it, or if not most of it. But it's also been so long that I don't have a clear enough memory to like in good conscience pick it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because it would be definitely like a crowd pleaser pick, like The Matrix is.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with a secondary pick that I'm hoping will be a crowd pleaser pick. It's not my
that,
favorite on my
balances,
it's not my favorite on my list. Like The Matrix is like a 10 out of 10 movie for me personally.
For sure,
This is not quite to that level, and I like other movies on my list more. But I'm hoping that Blade Runner will
on my list too. Oh,
I'm hoping that Blade Runner will get some people's excited. Because I think it is like a really interesting exploration of, artificial intelligence, and in this case, like they're almost indistinguishable from humans. Like at definitely a greater level than like David is in AI, artificial intelligence. So yeah, and yeah, I think there's some really powerful like moments of those questions, both visually and like in the story with Harrison Ford, and I'm forgetting like the main AI guy that he's like after for a while in the movie. But yeah, Sebastian, is it Sebastian?
I know, right? Let me see. I
can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen this movie.
I was like thinking about that though. Well,
yeah.
A Tears in the Rain monologue guy, right?
Right.
I think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold up. This is gonna make me mad. I want to solve this before I forget.
All right, you solve it, but I'll just say,
Roy Beatty. Yeah, the character. Yeah. Is it Rutger plays him or something? Yeah.
Maybe. Batty. That is
Roy
true.
Batty.
That is,
yes, that's right.
That is who it is. Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's not Sebastian, it's Batty. But yeah, I mean, it's great. It's visually like I almost wonder too, like now that I'm thinking about it, if like some of the influence on the design of AI, artificial intelligence, is kind of like based on this, especially when they get into like Rouge City and stuff, because this movie has such like great visual design too. So, hi, quick reminder that you can be a huge help to the production of this show. If you visit establishingshotpod.com/donate, you'll find out how to join the Establishing Shot family through some giving tiers starting as low as $5 a month. You heard that right, only $5 a month. And not only will you be helping me keep the show going, but you'll also get some perks yourself, like early and ad-free episodes, bonus episodes, access to a Discord server where we can chat it up about the show and movies in general, and more. Might even let you choose a movie for me to review for the show. Check out that link in the show notes to learn more. Back to the show. But yeah, that was my first pick, Blade Runner. Now it's up to you are you going to keep picking crowd pleasers, or maybe go a different route now?
I will say, this may be a crowd pleaser. Well, one, love that pick. I'm happy we're getting some bloods getting thrown in the water, because that was
the book is great too. Have you ever read the book?
I've heard good things. I like Philip K. Dick stuff generally, which he wrote that, right? I think.
Yes. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
That's what it is.
Is the book? Yeah.
Wait, I think I have read it then, but it's like a chapter in that, right? Or like, or maybe it is the whole book. Anyway, you're right.
Yeah, it's different than the book, but same general concepts.
Same idea. That's great, man. I feel like, Eli, you could make a whole other podcast about reading books to pair with the movies, or vice versa. If listeners remember from last episode, Eli listening to Pinocchio, you can't ever discredit my man for not being prepared about the source material for these things.
I do my best. Yeah,
do your best. for my pick, it's funny. I think crowd pleaser, sort of, but in a different, more low key way. And this might have something to do with when it was released, and maybe just indifferent. But I'm gonna go with something that's more recent. I want to say this was 2021 or 22. Weird pandemic release date schedule, but this is Kogonada's After Yang movie.
Man.
Yeah. Oh, was that a pick you were thinking of, or?
Yeah.
Dang! Oh no! I
It's
thought I
like
was like
at the
steering
top
clear.
of my list.
No, well, I want to hear your thoughts on it. I will still
Yes.
give you a share. I think, it's funny, for all the talk we've had about the bleakness, rightfully so, the sort of existential heavy questions that AI conversations have. I think, like, and this is something I've written about before, but something that's made me think was, like, I just love how for the movie, it's like an AI movie that teaches you to, like, be more in touch with the earth and your surroundings, and like practicing these postures of beholding and just beholding and wonder. I mean, Eli, not to call you out, you are drinking tea right now. Tea plays a big role in this film. And just
and a
like
Werner Herzog documentary.
I was gonna say, pair that with it. I don't know if there's AI in the Herzog documentary.
I doubt it.
I'd add it to my list here if I could. But just that important. I feel like the way, like, I think it just presents such a hopeful and beautiful vision of AI, like the what AI can do to help, and like these technologies when harnessed and used properly, and what it has to say about connection and forming wonder. So I think personally, this is like I know people love this film, but like for me, I'm like, I want a happy pick on my list. So this is one of my happy picks, I think. But
like
I don't know if you had one. Yeah.
I don't know. I get emotional just like thinking about there's this I don't want to like spoil the movie because this is one that I think is pretty underseen, unfortunately. So I'm glad you picked it. If you didn't, I was going to.
You're
but
gonna pick it.
It's going to be on one of our lists.
Yeah.
But there's this moment where, so the AI is actually like, there's a lot of flashbacks to him in the movie, but it's mostly like the father of the AI he got to like help his daughter for reasons that you'll know when you watch the movie. But he is trying to like fix this AI guy named Yang. So it's after Yang. Yang. He's kind of broken, and he kind of taps into a deeper memory bank.
That's right.
Like the concept is that these artificial intelligent beings like can save like how many seconds? It's like 10 seconds of memory from each day.
Yeah.
And he's like going into this Yang's memory, and he's like basically watching his daughter grow up. And I'm just like, when I watched the movie, I was just like sitting on my couch watching it, like weeping. Probably as like my child was asleep in his bed, I'm like weeping, and oh man. So yeah, great, phenomenal movie.
Which is something I didn't think about, the parenting aspect as much, and how that ties in with the AI artificial intelligence film too that you're talking about. So great
After Yang, I wasn't sure. I had a feeling it might be on your list, but I was like, maybe I can wait on that one, but apparently not.
No, you're good. It speaks to the strength of all the AI films that it made up on both of our lists. So,
and it's kind of like it's this new like lo-fi sci-fi, which I love. It's the design of it is like super like low key and
totally very nonchalant,
but very distinct.
And it's like in comparison to what you're saying with like our previous picks, Blade Runner and Matrix, which is like big capital
visual in your face, like
sci-fi. Yeah. This is like, it's there, but
so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna follow suit once again. I'm trying to like make a alternate universe version of your list. I'm gonna go with an earlier lo-fi sci-fi movie and pick Spike Jonze's Her from 2013. Um,
Great. Yep.
this is the movie I think I mentioned I rewatched one movie leading up to this, and this is the one I rewatched because I hadn't seen it since theaters. I saw this movie at the theater in 2013,
Yeah.
or actually maybe the beginning of 2014, because I think it didn't get its wide release until like January of 14. Um, but yeah, it's Joaquin Phoenix plays Theodore, who's he's a writer for he like works for this website that writes letters for people to
Yeah.
loved ones. um, but he gets an update of his operating system, and it's this AI voiced by Scarlett Johansson that he kind of starts falling in love with.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I don't know. This movie is it's the counterpart for After Yang in that it's like also a lo-fi sci-fi movie
Yeah.
with like really great low-key design, but like not at all like After Yang in the sense that like there's this like deep sense of like loneliness pervasive,
Totally.
like
Totally.
that's pervasive in the movie. It's pretty like devastating at points, like really sad. Yeah, he's kind of this guy that's lost his relationship with his ex, and like he hasn't signed the divorce papers yet, but
Mm-hmm.
um and then he's kind of finding a rekindled connection with this AI, but the AI kind of like advances really fast and in its intelligence and stuff. So I don't know, I don't really know how to explain this movie, but it's a movie that is just like really incredible. Spike Jones almost doesn't miss, I don't think.
Yeah.
Um,
No. I it's funny. This is one of those ones where like I've heard so much about and still have not seen, but I've
oh
heard
man,
really good things. And I
yeah,
feel like what you're describing with like what it has to say about the connection and relationship. I guess on like
and,
if
and
I'm understanding
loneliness,
like
yeah,
romantic partner level, I guess too, or something. Yeah.
yeah. It's very much a movie about loneliness
Mm-hmm.
and our need for connection in a digital world, our longing for connection in a digital world for sure. Um, but yeah, her great movie. But now it's your turn to pick, and
Yeah, I know. I was sorry. I was like sorting through my letterbox too because I was like, what
I'm
are
still
one
reeling from your After Yang pick,
I'm
to be honest.
no, I if it wasn't one of my there were like so many others I was like thinking about too, but I was like that one was just I was just really thinking about yeah, I'm trying to see of other ones here that was standing out that sort of kind of get at it, but okay, well, I'll get back to those later because I have in my actual list here. What will I go for next? Maybe switching it up, one that's more like, well, I don't even want to say that. I'm trying to think about the best way I can describe this. That's not super redundant. We'll go with. Well, actually, you know what? I'll just go for it. I think this is 2012. Going more synergy with your list and mine. Another Ridley Scott. We're going Prometheus. So
Mm,
that,
yeah,
which I
I
get,
had it
I
on my
guess.
list.
Oh, was that on your list or
Hmm.
no? Yeah. I mean, you could argue in some ways it's sequel Alien Covenant, which is still up for grabs. That's why I was kind of torn. Like, do I do that or Alien Covenant? Like,
Hmm.
Covenant does feel like the culmination of a lot of what
The
Scott
AI
was
stuff.
the
Yeah.
AI stuff. But I'm choosing Prometheus purposely because it ties to like the creation element and like how insignificant, like you know, this idea. I think David has this. Michael Fassbender plays the android, artificial intelligence character in the
Hmm.
film, and a lot of the snarkiness that he feels about being able to survive after human beings and like a
Yeah.
lot of that movie has to deal with creation and legacy and what if we make something that not only will outlast us, but like won't wait for us
Destroy
to die, wants to
Yeah.
like kill us now. Like
Yes.
that's kind of sad. Like very give me my birthright now sort of idea,
Oh, yeah.
that was there. So I don't know. It just reminds you, for all the films that try to nuance AI, they can just be mean sometimes, and maybe
Yeah.
we need some of that.
Evil.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think
Prometheus,
it definitely like plays out more that theme in Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
Probably a hot take, but I liked Alien Covenant a little more than Prometheus.
Oh no, I mean I think we watched Covenant recently to prepare for Romulus, and
Same.
I think I'd agree with you. I think
Okay.
it's yeah.
I think we're on. I think we're.
It's a great.
I think we're on the minority there, though.
I know.
Based on like the letterbox like ratings and stuff.
I know, somewhere between there's a loss in translation there, but I do like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy there's another Alien Covenant truther. That's great. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think I have it like a 4-star.
Oh yeah. Well worth it. I'd say. Yeah.
So you got Prometheus. I'll probably steer away from Alien Covenant then, since you've already got it. Too similar. So this is tough. I'm gonna pick a movie that I actually picked in a very recent draft. Just because I usually try to not repick movies in drafts, and actually this might have even been like the last draft I did. I picked this movie for The Science Gone Wrong, but I'm gonna
sure
because a lot of these can play into that theme too.
Of course.
But I'm gonna go with Alex Garland's movie Ex Machina.
On my list, I was like, great pick.
It's just a phenomenal AI movie. Like, a very. I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to ruin like where it leads to.
Sure.
But it definitely ends in a way where you're like, oh yeah, this can be something that bites us if we let it go too far. So incredible design for the movie, incredible acting. You've got in the lead roles Domhnall Gleeson and Oscar Isaac.
Amazing.
Yeah, really, really great. So
yeah, features one of the best dance sequences put to film, I dare say. So
it makes me sad about Alex Garland because like he put out 2 of like my favorite movies in that decade, probably in Ex Machina and Annihilation.
Oh yeah,
and the movies he's put out since are just kind of like okay to not that great.
Not that great. You're not a Men stan or a truther?
I'm not. I didn't. Yeah, visually I think Men looks really great, but yeah, conceptually I thought it was kind of, I don't know. This is not it's not an Alex Garland show, so I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna
go too much go too deep into it. Other than I just didn't care for it a ton.
No, you're good. That's great. I love that film. I think it's great. That was also on my list. I saw it for the first time this year, I think, when A24 re-released it in theaters and IMAX, and it's another one of those like, dang, this was 10 years ago? ? Yeah. Right? And like, it just feels like it was plopped out of the factory today. So I mean, which we're sensing a theme here. It's just funny to think like how pervasive these themes are.
Yeah,
like,
they're very timeless ideas.
They might look different in how they manifest, but how they ultimately come out. Well, good pick. Really like that one. I'm trying to think here.
Hello again. Do you know how you can really support the show for free in just a few minutes or less? That's right. Just leave a rating and review on Spotify and Apple, or wherever you listen that might allow for ratings and reviews. These really help the visibility of the podcast. In fact, just hit that pause button right now and drop the review right now. And then you can get back to the show. I'd greatly appreciate it. Okay. I trust that you went and left that rating and review now. Back to the show.
It's funny, maybe as like a counterpoint, or rather it's continuing the themes of what you're saying about isolation and attachment. Different direction. Let me look this up when this was released before I forget. Okay, this was 2014. Actually, another 2014 movie, also featuring robots. We're going Big Hero 6, if y'all have seen this one or heard it. Yeah, is this Disney or not?
It is.
Or it is Disney.
Yeah.
I just remember loving this, and I still love it. I haven't seen it since I rewatched it one other time in college. And I mean, Baymax, very cute. I mean, without saying too much, it's about set in like San Francisco, which is like, San Francisco, Tokyo.
Great design.
Beautiful design, very cool action, and like, one of the robots is basically like, well, I don't want to spoil it. Someone close to this person dies, and this robot's left behind, and it like, I don't know, it like acts as a sort of therapy, but also companion sort of film. And I think like it's to what you were sort of getting at with her, where I think like it's just interesting to think about how we can get so attached to these machines, and how it like is the main robot character in that movie does a really good job of simply listening, I think. And I think that's just something as humans we really want to hear a lot of, and maybe rarely get in our real relationships. So it's just another one of those movies where I'm like, like the need for AI underscores some of the desires that we maybe have or want that we think are being met there, even if it's imperfect. So that was just one that's always kind of stood out to me, of like how it's considered and thought about connection and, the importance there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I feel like Big Hero 6 is like a underrated Disney movie.
I know, right?
I've always loved it. Ever since I saw it in theaters. My wife and I did this thing. We actually started it in like 2019 maybe, and we finished it just earlier this year. We did like a chronological watch through of all the Disney animated classics.
Which, you did? Oh, that's great.
Which there's 62 of. As of this moment. When Moana 2 comes out, that'll be 63.
Whoa, okay.
So, that's why it took us like years to do it, because my wife doesn't watch as many movies as I do. But Big Hero 6, we made a rankings list as we watched, and Big Hero 6 was number 5 on my list.
Whoa.
That's how much I love it.
That's high praise for all the fact that you've gone through them. So, that's good. Okay. Happy to hear it resonates there. Yeah.
So you got your animated movie. I'm going to go in to the other side of Disney in the Pixar route.
Yes.
And I'm going to pick WALL-E, because you've got to have WALL-E.
Got to. Oh yeah.
WALL-E, I mean, great movie about robots falling in love, but also like taps into like the problem of like what happens if we just like continually advance technology to make our lives easier, and is that actually like beneficial to us? To like, where's the line of like where you actually start regressing as a human if you like make your life too easy?
Totally.
Because I mean, you get to the stuff on the ship and you're like, these aren't really even people anymore, So definitely like a fun, interesting. It's just such a different movie to be like a Pixar movie. Even like amongst all the other Pixar movies, it still like stands out as very unique, and just everything about it really. So.
Oh yeah, it's a iconic and classic movie for sure. I haven't thought of that one in a long time.
So once again, I'm kind of mirroring your pick with mine.
I love it. It's great. That's one, man. I'm happy you brought it up because I've been like, when I was making the list, Wally was on there, and I'm like, I need to rewatch that, but I
Yeah, I
haven't.
do too.
So,
We're actually
um,
doing, when we finished our Disney one, we were like, well, I guess we should do the same thing with Pixar. So we are doing the same deal with Pixar, but we haven't made it to Wally yet.
yeah, no, okay. I'm
So
looking forward to seeing your
yeah, we
letterbox
just
log.
watched Ratatouille.
See, bangers back to back. We
Yeah.
love to see it.
So I think Wally is coming up though in our rewatch.
Yeah.
So yeah,
See
it's
there.
probably next because it's Ratatouille is '07 and Wally's '08. So that
Yeah.
might be next on our list.
Oh, nice. Check it out. Love to see it.
All right, this is your last pick.
I know. Oh man, I was debating because I'm like, there's a couple. I was like,
Right.
maybe go with the recent. There's still a lot, which I'm sure we can get to honorable mentions, but
Yeah.
for the sake of maybe using a spot to highlight something that maybe isn't probably still well known, but not as like, what is it? Like a top of mind maybe when people think about it. Did you ever see director Leigh Whannell's Upgrade? This was 2018.
No,
Yeah.
I never saw that.
Great film. So once again, saw it just this year. It stars Logan Marshall Green. Yes, that's
Okay.
right. And it's one of those like $3 million budget films. I'm looking at the Wikipedia here. If this means this does not mean anything to me, but it's like one part The $6 Million Man, one part Death Wish, revenge fantasy.
Sure.
I don't know what that means, but I don't know. It's one of those like film where it's like it's basically quick premise without spoiling. This guy family gets murdered. He implants this experimental AI technology to basically go rogue and get revenge. And I think a lot of it's what we were talking about from our prior conversation about how we are inefficient cyborgs and how we use our phones all the time. And I think a lot of I mean, timeless themes, of course, about like, is this technology that we're giving ourselves over to really good? But I think it's one of those movies where it's like, for those who are without certain means, they'll probably be the first to get exploited by this technology because it offers a quick fix. So there's like a little element of like the classism exploration with this film that it stands out to me. But I've no Lay, but I'm sure if I talk with him, he can be like, nah, man, I just decided to make a cool John Wick, John Wick sci-fi movie, because then kills are pretty gnarly. So it could just be that, or it could be this larger meditation about class and AI. But I'll stick with Upgrade.
It can be both. It can be both.
I'll go with Upgrade 2018.
Yeah, that's great. I haven't seen that. I've seen his The Invisible Man.
Great.
Which I loved.
So good. You excited for Wolfman coming out too?
I am. When I saw he was doing a Wolfman, I'm like, oh, is he gonna do like modern versions of all like the monster movies? Because that would be great. If it's as good as The Invisible Man, which I think more people need to see, because
totally.
Elizabeth Moss is incredible in it.
I'm so happy you brought that film up. It's such a good.
It might not be spooky season anymore. It definitely isn't by the time you're listening to this episode, but we're just one day removed from it.
From Halloween,
as we're recording. But it's never too late for a good horror flick. Man, my last pick. There's a lot of directions I can go.
Yeah.
You know what? I said earlier I wasn't going to pick this because it's been so long. My memory is like shoddy on this movie, but I just know from what I do remember how great of a movie this is. And, I also want to win the draft. So
that's right.
I'm going to just go ahead and pick Terminator 2.
Of course.
Judgment Day.
Right on their list, yeah.
Because who doesn't love Arnold Schwarzenegger playing an indestructible robot that's just trying to save humanity from destruction? You know.
What? No, it truly. It's like what else is there what's there to dislike, you know?
Yeah.
There's a reason why that's the standard for sequels in so many ways, at
Yeah.
least sci-fi, you know.
Yeah. And it is interesting, you know, to kind of have the switch up of in this one, like he's the good guy. Um, and it's, you know, you have all the Skynet stuff that's like super interesting. You know, I think you were talking about like not smashing your computer when it doesn't work, just in case
Yeah.
like it's gonna upset Skynet, you know.
Oh yeah. So much there.
So, you know, it plays into a lot of the themes that we've already talked about, but also
Oh yeah.
like just a really great action flick. So
Yeah.
yeah, one
Stay
of the
on the good
best
side of technology, yeah.
I can't remember if it came up when we did it. I did a car chase draft um with Dave Lester, and he I can't remember if one of us picked the chase sequence in this movie in T2,
Yeah.
but it's got that great chase scene too with the
So good.
motorcycle and the semi truck. Oh man.
I'm curious, did you know? So this is something my dad was telling me, where it's like when he was watching it, apparently like the first thing, like no one knew that twist that Arnold, so, like the theater went crazy when,
Yeah.
you know, like because you think, oh, of course Arnold's about to kill the kid, and like, oh wait, but he's the hero and the police guy's the best. So like, I'm curious. I mean, so I knew I still loved it, even though I
Yeah.
knew like he's the good guy.
Yeah.
But
I
I don't
kind
know
of
for
did
you.
too.
Okay.
Yeah.
If
So
what's able to be preserved from those
yeah.
moments like that.
Yeah, I probably won't ever experience it and love it in that way, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's similar things that like I'm trying to preserve for my kids,
I was gonna say, yeah,
like
yeah.
like the like Darth Vader being Luke's father. Like I have a shirt with Darth Vader that my son got me for like a birthday or Father's Day that says "I am your father." So I'm like, I don't want him to like. Sometimes I like don't wear that shirt because I'm like, I don't want my son to ask me why it says that because
That's
I don't
so
want to ruin that
funny.
twist
I
for him.
know, right? You're like, oh, it doesn't say that. It means
I'm like,
something else. Yeah.
yeah, I'll just say you'll find out one day,
You'll
probably.
find out one day. Exactly.
I told him when he turns 6, which will be in February, that he has to
Great.
watch Star Wars.
Oh,
So
that's great.
I feel like that's a good age for it.
That's a beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful way to introduce the show. That's great.
Hello there, listener. Don't you ever want more for your life? Don't you ever dream of surpassing the status of just podcast listener? Well, I've got good news. If you head on over to establishingshotpod.com and click the send a voicemail button on the right side of your screen, you can be featured on the podcast. I'd love to hear from you, whether it's a comment in response to an episode you liked, an opinion of mine you disagreed with, or just a question for me. And if you're too shy to have your voice featured, you can always email me at establishingshotpod@gmail.com. Don't settle for just being a podcast listener. Reach for the stars and get featured on The Establishing Shot. Back to the show. Yeah, that's our picks. Before we read them back, do you have any just honorable mentions that you want to make sure get shout outs? Obviously, AI, artificial intelligence, and 2001: A Space Odyssey are.
I was gonna say.
I should have. One of us maybe should have taken 2001, but since we didn't, I'm just gonna make it like, it's gonna be the AI and 2001.
And 2001,
like,
I think
memorial draft.
I think that's fair. It's one of those where I'm like, it's just there, and I'm like, oh,
they're tied together since Kubrick planned out AI. He made 2001. So
oh yeah,
they're tied together in that way.
Cinematic siblings, we always love to see it.
But yeah, any other honorable mentions you want to shout out?
Yeah, I think one I feel like we did. Well, I guess we did talk about the Alien franchise tangentially. I would say RoboCop. Was one that was thinking about. I think I saw it for the first time last year. In similar ways to upgrade the flesh technology, steel, sort of all connections that are there. I really, this is a more recent one, but actually, it's funny now that I've seen AI. I'm like, I wonder how much that worked in Wild Robot, which is the movie. If you
Hmm.
I don't know if you've seen that one, but
Yeah,
yeah, which I thought was great. I mean, I don't think I'm as high on it as some people are, but like
I'm
all
not
that,
quite either,
but like
honestly.
motherhood,
Hmm.
there's robot stuff in there, and like learning to move past your programming. I
Yeah,
think all of that was sort of very much there.
yeah. I
Yeah,
actually read that. I read the book to my son. We will
you
read like
did.
chapter books out loud to him. Um, and so we read that. Usually I'll read it like to him while he's playing in the tub after I give him a bath.
Yeah.
So we read The Wild Robot and then went and saw it, the movie together. So,
Oh,
um,
what did he like it
oh
or?
yeah, he loved it. Um, and I think he loves when he can read a book and then watch the movie of the book he read.
This is a
Um,
good way to train
yeah.
to instill in
So,
him. Yeah,
so he loved it. If you ask him what his favorite book is, he'll usually say The Wild Robot.
that's great.
And so we got him. There's actually a series. There's like two more Wild Robot books. So we got him the other two for Christmas. So
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
I actually like in the book. I actually like teared up at a couple of points.
We really? Oh man,
Yeah,
I have to read these. That's so.
and
I didn't know it was a series either. That's really
yeah, I
cool.
haven't read the second and third. So,
Okay.
but the first one was really great. It's like very short chapters. There's like 80 chapters, but they're all like anywhere from like 1 to 5 pages.
Okay. That's
So
great.
very digestible kids book. But
Beautiful.
yeah, I thought the movie was good. I felt like it didn't quite. It was trying to do a little bit more than the book was doing. The book I feel like is way more straightforward, simple. Um, and the movie is trying to do a little bit more. But yeah, still I still did like it. Um, I thought about too. I thought about the Iron Giant, but I was like, I don't
Yeah,
know if he's AI. It's similar to like Transformers. Like Transformers aren't technically AI. They're actually like just mechanical beings.
that's
Um,
true, right? I was
they
thinking about that.
that
Well, I
are
don't know if you were able to
supposedly
see.
like have souls or something. Maybe from what I can understand.
I don't know if you were able to see Transformers 1 at all, but like that was a great
I haven't seen
film.
it yet. I do plan on watching it though whenever it comes to streaming or something.
Yes,
Um,
amazing. But
yeah, so I thought about the Iron Giant, but I was like, I don't know if that qualifies because he's not really man-made. He like
oh, that's an interesting point. Yeah,
he
like
like
the
comes from space. So
yeah.
for all we know, he might be just a intelligent robot metal
Yeah,
being, you know.
that maybe like
Um,
the very end when he puts himself back together or
yeah,
something. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, the
Um,
last sliver or second is like an AI movie.
for
Yeah.
sure. Another one that a a couple of more animated ones. One is more like family friendly, and Mitchell's versus the Machines was a
That
fun one.
what a great film. I'm
Yeah.
so happy you brought that up. That's
Uh,
great.
but yeah, it's not really that interested in like the ideas around AI, so I didn't really pick it. But it does have like this AI robot takeover that kind of is more of like a plot device than like interested in
Mm,
exploring those ideas.
that's
But
true. That's a
an
good
animated
point.
movie that is not family friendly, that's interested in those ideas, is Ghost in the Shell.
Oh yes, that's right. Another classic that I
um,
haven't remember. Yeah.
yeah. And then I would be remiss if I did not shout out the movie I, Robot,
Of
which
course.
is a PG-13 movie that I went to see with my dad when shortly after I turned 13.
How was
So,
that experience for
oh,
your
great.
first PG movie?
When you're 13 years old and you get to see Will Smith like fight robots, like come on.
That was
Um,
me, but like seeing my first R-rated movie was Neil Blomkamp's Elysium, which like I
okay.
had not seen District 9.
Yeah.
Elysium is the only R-rated movie, so that was like my personality for
Yeah.
the longest time was Matt Damon shooting robots. But yeah.
Speaking of Blomkamp, I didn't hate Chappie. A lot of people hated Chappie.
Oh, that's right.
I
Chappie
like
could have been
Chappie
on
fine.
there.
It's an AI
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Um,
I
it's
haven't seen it, but
yeah,
I forget it has Dev Patel and Hugh Jackman in there, and
yeah,
I'm like, and Sharlto Copley, of course, his
yes,
longtime collaborator. But
yeah. I liked Chappie fine. I think people were too harsh on it. It's not like it's just I have a lot of movies that I think are just like good, fun movies that I have like 3.5 stars, 7 out of 10, and I think that people just like I don't know, they ripped that one apart.
yeah,
One more I'll mention. We obviously like have the other Matrix movies and the first Terminator movies and all the Terminator movies. Um,
yeah.
but another movie that is probably less known that I wanted to shout out was a movie that, um, if you look it up, it says 2022, but it actually like released last year.
Yeah.
Um, but it's The Artifice Girl.
You
Um,
know, I really want to see that, but I haven't seen it.
it
Yeah.
is really, really good.
It is good? Okay.
Yes,
You're
I
here.
really, really enjoyed it. Very interesting premise. The premise is basically this guy has been anonymously turning in sex like online sex offenders, like child sex offenders, and gets recruited by this government agency, and only to find out that he's developed this AI
Mm-hmm.
that joins like video chats with sex offenders to catch them in the act, and the AI is like a little girl. Um,
Interesting.
but it's a you know CGI'd, like looks real and intelligent AI to interact with people. And
Fascinating.
obviously like it progresses to where she kind of starts to have like her own ideas and that sort of thing, and um really fascinating movie. Uh yeah, highly recommend The
I
Artifice
need to
Girl.
see
It's
this.
on right now. I don't know if it will be by the time this episode releases, but currently it's on Tubi, so you could watch it with ads
That's
for free.
great. And it
So
has Lance Erickson? I'm
yes,
sold. I'll do that.
yes, yeah. Oh, he comes into play in the third act. Yeah,
Okay. Oh, that's great. All right, I'll watch that. I'm happy you brought that one up. I had forgotten about it, but I didn't. I didn't see it.
yeah.
Um.
But yeah, there's a lot of great AI movies. There's more, but we'll leave it at that.
No, no. Those were great. It was making me think about. I mean, it's just funny to think about like all of Ridley Scott or like the Alien franchise and like
hmm
the service. I mean, there was the creator. If you saw that one from last year, John David Washington.
Yes, I forgot to put that
Yeah.
on my list, but it's one of those. I think I was talking about it when I recorded the Jurassic Park episode, because he's
Hmm.
supposed to. We were talking about like the whole franchise for when I did the Lost World episode. We were
Yeah.
talking about the franchise and Jurassic World, and he's supposed to direct the next Jurassic World movie. And so,
Oh, I
w-
didn't think about that or
yeah.
realize that.
So
Yeah.
my opinion of him is that like he needs to direct a movie, but get someone else to write the story, because the creator is like incredibly visually, but the
Totally.
story is just like it's well acted, but the story is just
It's
lacking.
just not it. Yeah, that's kind of how I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, I guess the recent Chucky movie you could say was the
What is
2018 one, Child's
there's
Play, I think
yeah,
was
there's
one.
also the Megan
Megan,
with the
yeah.
3.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen either of those. So
Yeah, I've seen Megan, which was fun, but like, yeah,
yeah,
for the memes, always nice.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Let me read back our drafts. Um, so Zachary ended up with The Matrix, After Yang, Prometheus, Big Hero 6, and Upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up with Blade Runner, Her, Ex Machina, Wally, and Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping T2 will get me
We'll
this
tip the
win,
scales, yeah.
tip the scales.
Heavy hitters,
Yeah. I kind of bookended my draft with two big ones.
It's great.
And all the lesser known. Wally might. It'll be interesting. Sometimes the animated movies are what really like tip the scales.
Right? I know. It's like
So
we
Big
have
Hero
a
6
lot of.
versus Wally.
I was gonna say it's matchups there.
Because you have
Matrix versus Blade Runner.
like film people love Wally, but like a lot of people also like that aren't like big film people just thought it was boring. So
you never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
But it still hurts my heart that I didn't get After Yang.
So
even if like I win this draft, there'll be a piece of me that feels like I still lost because I didn't get After Yang.
After Yang. Yo, you're good. Hey, you'll have to dedicate. I'm sure. I mean, what Kogonada's done. You could do a Kogonada. I mean, he has a film.
Columbus.
Columbus. I think
great.
Kogonada has a film coming out next year.
Oh, okay.
So for what it's worth,
I'll watch anything he makes.
Oh,
His design and composition is just like incredible. Columbus is
one of those
fantastic movie too
that I need to watch. But yeah.
Oh yeah, you've got to watch it. It's phenomenal. Those are really his only two movies. He has some shorts. He has a lot of like video essays.
Yeah, those are the
That's
ones.
kind of how he got started.
Yeah.
Was making video essays about films and stuff. But yeah, those are his only two movies, Columbus and After Yang. His only two features. But yeah, that's our draft. The listeners will decide who won.
Yeah.
It'll be in the future, but not so distant future as a lot of these movies are.
As always.
But yeah, so that's it. The people will decide. It was a fun draft. I enjoyed it.
Oh yes. No.
But yeah, thanks Zachary for coming on. Why don't you I think I forgot to do this on the last episode, but why don't you tell people where they can find you? And maybe I'll tack on your answer here onto the end of that episode too.
No, you're good. Well, it's always fun to be on here, so thank you. I really had a really good time and lots to think about. On most of my writing you can find. I'll usually share it out on Twitter or X. There's less reasons to be on there by the day, but I'm fortunately still on the sinking ship. It's at Zacharoni22, and then Letterboxd also posts reviews and thoughts on there.
Yeah.
Which you can find me there on ZLee 729. So
okay.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure to put links in the episode description so people can find you.
Oh no, it's great. Yeah,
easy.
I just renewed the patron for Letterboxd, I think. So we're
nice.
Where it's still a thing. I'm like, that's how I'll gauge my seriousness to film. It's like, am I gonna keep doing that or not? And I'm like, I think so. I'll go for it. So
you're better than me. I'm only a pro. No, I'm not a patron, just a pro.
I will say, I think with the Patreon, I was able to get on it because they had like the Black Friday deal or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So I think
I'm gonna be on the lookout for that then.
Honestly, no, that's how they get you, because I'm like, oh yeah, and then it comes around, and I'm like, well, I've had a whole year really liking it. Like, maybe I'll just keep it on. And I'm like, they get it.
There are some features that are on the Patreon that I really like that aren't on the Pro. So, yeah. But yeah, I'll make sure to put those links in the description so people can find you. But other than that, that's all we have for this week. We're going to be jumping into Minority Report next week. So continuing the Spielberg excitement and sci-fi fair with that, and Tom Cruise. So looking forward to that. It's another blind spot for me. So get to fill in another blind spot. But yeah, that's all for this week. Look forward to jumping into that next week. But for now, I've been Eli Price for Zachary Lee. You've been listening to The Establishing Shot. We'll see you next time.
We were happy here. For a little while.
But look, I figure it this way. Better to be king for a night than schmuck for a lifetime.